Hello and welcome to the EMS Handoff podcast. We're back this morning live from the Tennessee EMS Education Association Conference in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Back with my co-host Bradley Dean. Eric is still rambling around, hanging out with the family. Can't blame him there. Doing a little work, getting ready to go to the clinic, I think, this evening. But how was day 2 for you, Bradley?
Day 2 was great. We got to talk to a few people and record a couple of sessions. And then, of course, my daughter had to embarrass me at dinner last night.
It's absolute perfect stuff, and I have to say that Bradley's face was about as bright red as his shirt yesterday. A couple of different times. That's about what 13-year-olds will do for you. So on the other side of us today, we're going to welcome Jonathan Wood, who's the immediate past president of the Tennessee EMS Education Association. So, John, welcome to the show.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are y'all?
Just absolutely marvelous. Day 3 here in Murfreesboro, about to wrap up, pack up, and start to head back to all of our respective places. And
I know, a lot of moving around today. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Family reunion for the year's coming to an end.
Coming to an end. And so if you would just tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
Absolutely. So as you said, I'm immediate past president of the Tennessee EMS Educators Association. Been with the organization on the board for 17 years and then a member for a few years prior to that. Outside of that, in the day-to-day life, I'm a EMS ambulance service director, mainly in the air medical division, and do some teaching, some outreach. Still try to get out there and get in front of some classes because that's my passion.
So really, what you've identified there is could be wrapped up in 2 words. It says, "I'm old." It's really it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am old. Or so, maybe I should go with I started early. If I could sell that idea.
But you can't.
No.
At least not here. So so let's just go ahead and talk about how you got into the profession of just EMS real quick. We're going to go into the education and the leadership side here in just a minute, but tell everybody kind of where you came from and what brought you here?
Well, grew up in West Tennessee and got into EMS in 92, how a lot of people did in 92. I was part of the volunteer fire department through the Explorer program, started with the fire department there, and you run wrecks with the local ambulance service. And didn't know a ton about them, but one night we was on a MVA and I had a hose line stretch and there's a medic pulled up, guy of the ambulance, had that swagger. Went over to the car. They cut the roof off the car. He stands up, spine board, lays the patient down. I'm sitting there. I'm like, that's cool, and I want to be cool like him. So when you ask me in interviews, like paramedics, what'd you do? What got you in the field? You know, some people give you the response, well, I got in to help people. I'm going to be honest with you, gentlemen. I got in because it looked really cool. And then I learned that I was doing something really helpful for families and patients. But that's how I started, got in that, went to EMT school while I was a senior in high school. I'd get out of school and 2 nights a week, drove down to the local community college, got my EMT license, then my AMT, went off to college at Ole Miss for a degree in genetics. Also worked as a medic while I was down there. You can work a little better hours, make a little more money than you could at the student union, Chick-fil-A. And then after that, just to have traveled around, I pretty much focused on trying to get to services that had high volume in areas because I wanted to push myself. I had great mentors that pushed me to push myself because I guess like a coach in football, they see the stuff that you don't see, and that's what their job is, to get that out of you. I was open to that, and then I had the family of EMS embraced me and raised me from a kid, and I've been trying to give back ever since. Yeah.
All right. So I learned something about you just then that I never knew, that your undergrad work was in genetics.
Yep.
That's I think a whole nother podcast in itself, but we always learning about each other. So let's fast forward just a little bit. You become a medic. You've gone to school at a questionable institution, for somebody from Tennessee, but okay, we'll go with it for you. But so let's fast forward. What brings you then to the education realm?
Honestly, I was standing outside the ambulance service I was working at in Jackson, Tennessee, when the director of the local community college came up. And he said, I've been looking for you. I want to know if you'd like to start teaching classes. And I said, absolutely not. I'm scared to death. there's no way. He said, I've sat in CPR with you. I've sat in ACLS with you. I said, oh, that's different. He said, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. And that gentleman's Tom Coley, who he founded TEMSEA, one of the founders, and he has mentored so many people. And again, a person that saw something that I never saw that I could do. And he took the time to, talk me into it and led me through it. And always thankful for that. But that's how I started. Is he kind of threw me out there. But what he did was, in his brilliance, my first class I taught was pathophysiology for paramedics, because he told me, he said, you know biology. He said, let's start you with that. So he put me in my wheelhouse, and I was up there just rattling on. Now, he did eventually one day when he's monitoring me, tell me to turn it down a little bit. But that's where he put me in the right place and set me up for success.
So being recruited by one of the industry giants within the state of Tennessee, as you said, a founder of the organization that you subsequently become president of. So we're going to get more into education leadership side. But so you decided at some point in time to put your name out and join the board. Subsequently become the president. So tell, we've been talking to our membership a lot about us being here and what the conference is, but tell us what TEMSEA is and what this is about.
TEMSEA, it's still what it is from the day it started. You have a group of educators that are committed to developing the new providers and leaders in the state, in the EMS realm. They came together, formed an organization because they wanted a voice. They wanted to have everything, and then they want to look out for the best interest and make sure that, like they did me, set everything up for success. And as you know, a good foundation of education is what makes people a better professional. So from there, today it's the same. It's a group of individuals across state, not just the board members. The members of TEMSEA is really the strength of TEMSEA. It's like a family of 400. So it's a wild family reunion here, but everybody speaks freely, and it's the ideas in the hallway here, or up and down, going to your room and seeing the excitement, hearing those ideas where it's an educational realm. You're constantly redeveloping what's being offered or what's going to be offered from just talking to a peer in the hallway. So it's that commitment, it's that development, and it's making sure that needs are being met out there in the schools. On whatever the need is, from something as simple as what form to fill out to how do I recruit more into the field, or what's best practices. So.
And just this year alone, you've kind of been the organization has been tied because we tend to say in my presentation at the very end yesterday, I kind of mentioned this. We kind of tend to find ourselves in silos. You've got those in the operational side that are day in and day out on the road, only really thinking about the education side whenever they going to upgrade their license, if they're an EMT going to advanced going to paramedic, or continuing education going, oh crap, my license expires at the end of this month and we've been in the middle of COVID. So all of this, but so we have those operational people that are there, and that includes service directors and all that. And then you've got the educators that are in their silos. Like my goal is to teach every day, but what is the impact does this have on the operation side? And then we have the state come in, and so what you've seen here this year is the state has been here and talking with the educators at the different institutions about ways to make the opportunities of the future better. The Ambulance Service Associations have been here kind of tying. So what I've kind of seen, and trying to work on breaking those silos and coming together, because operations is working with education, working with the state, and the state working with education, working with operations. So you're in a unique position between being in there that you are a operations person, you are an education person, and an influencer, if you would per se, with the state because of your roles here. So how do you blend all that together? And
that is interesting, and that's something that is unique that I get involved in. I am a director from the operations side, and we have goals and visions in that realm. I'm also an educator and a continuing education educator. Blending that really, I think, is making sure you keep an open mind, make sure you can see things from everybody's perspective and valuing that. And then really getting everybody on the same sheet of music and keeping yourself on the same sheet of music. What is our ultimate goal? What are we here for? and that's to provide quality emergency medical care to the residents of this state or whatever state our professionals go to. And the question is, how do we get there? We can't get there in silos. We got to get there together. Everybody has different needs. I need personnel. Schools need students to sign up, be that first time they walk in from high school or what have you. But for me to have personnel, how can I help this school increase that enrollment? Do I need to go on a tour with them, on a road with them, bring out some apparatus to help kind of nudge that high school program or that grade school now? Now, you start recruiting around ninth grade to declare when they hit the high school. So we're seeing that the silos break down more. And I think one thing, the reason of that is we're seeing more training in leadership, which is, just my personal opinion, so we've been woefully lacking in EMS, formalized leadership training, business training, knowing how to run businesses and customer service and return on investments. Because when we're a young field, we've only been around about 50 years. So far as medicine goes, we're infants, still plotting our course and growing up. And like when you started, how'd you get promoted? You was a good medic. And people liked you, and you got, letters written saying Dave was an awesome man. He took good care of my family. He's awesome. And then you get promoted up. But question is, did you have any learning or skills to help you be successful with that promotion? So that's a part of, on both sides of what I do, the operations and the education, is trying to encourage people to go out and learn more. And it don't have to be a master's degree. It can be going to a TED Talk, watching podcasts, learning from peers. We do a lot of John Maxwell watching programs there. It's just trying to be a student of the profession, and business and leadership now and education is part of the profession. It's just not, starting IVs and how to read EKG anymore.
I'm going to correct one thing you said. You said podcast plural. There's podcast one. It's the EMS Handoff. And
the podcast EMS Handoff. Right.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk the future. Mm-hmm. So education, the future of education, the future of leadership in EMS. Where do you see us being? Obviously, they published the EMS Agenda 2050, and that coming out directly before COVID hit, so implementation and the conversation obviously changed the pandemic. But we just got done with an episode talking about the patient-centered atmosphere and kind of looking at where we need to be. Where do you see John Woods, immediate past president, service director, all your role? Where is EMS in a year, 5 years? Where is leadership? Where's education?
So far as the field, I think what we're going to see, and the pandemic has helped show this, that extending that rural health or that public health and being in a public health realm is going to affect us more. When, community paramedic is still fledgling in a lot of areas. But when you talk about recently with the vaccine rollout, what's your force multiplier? You're sitting in the office at the state level or national level, like, how do we get more shots in arms? Well, we've got ambulances, paramedics, and EMTs in every city. How about we engage them? So I think what you're going to see is we become more involved in realms we're not used to, but it being something that's really going to be in our wheelhouse, something we'll be comfortable with, going out, engaging in the community and providing care. Now, that care might not be because you've had a wreck. It might be because you need a vaccine or you need a COVID test. So that's where I see EMS going, is really developing more of an extension of public health and ERs and physicians, and maybe being able to do more assessment and treatment and help you stay at home, where you don't have to have the experience of having to go to the ER. Because a lot of times this may be something that can be managed from a team approach in your home.
So where does that take EMS education and even leadership? Are we looking at degrees, associates, bachelor's level, looking at adding requirements to the leadership realms? You mentioned earlier business, you get into some of those upper roles, and we all know that, it's not simply bottom dollar, because if so, we're very similar to Walmart, where, we have very bare minimum only on the shelves when needed. We are the inefficient or we try to create the efficient inefficiency. But, so are we looking at requiring additional classes, as say if you get promoted to a lieutenant or captain or a chief level role?
I think it does, and I say that not to scare anybody or make anybody uncomfortable. It's not all about degrees. It's not about what's on that paper on the wall, but there is going to be more education. As educators, we're going to have to learn. How can I teach what's going on in the field that's new if I don't know what's new as well? So we're going to have to learn, and we're going to have to develop. And as educators, we're going to have to take the lead to have those opportunities for our profession to learn that. And that's part of our charge is developing ourselves. I'm a strong proponent of continued education, with degrees, as I've kind of been a student my whole life, adding degrees. But the reason that is what I see it does is it opens your mind. It makes you think. It doesn't matter what the major or minor is, or even what the class is. It might be non-degree seeking, but that engagement, that learning new ideas and thinking outside the box and being with cohorts in a class, either online or in person, grows you and opens you up to learning and things down the road. So that's what I see for our professionals on education. Like I said, as our educators, we're going to have to learn too. We can't do it the way it's always been done. When people tell me that, first thing I was like, well, why? Why are we still doing it the way it's always been done? Our younger generation, they're smart. If you don't think they're smart, how many times you're around the station, you see some of the older guys hand their phone to someone younger and say, hey, can you fix this on my phone? So let's engage them. Let's get them involved. Let's see what they feel they want or what they're lacking or what they need. And without ego or prejudice, as an educator, hear them and listen to them, and let's develop that. It's not an overnight magic going to happen, but it will get us on the path to growing and getting better. And ultimately, like I said before, the payout is our family out there, when they have an illness or an injury, benefit from it.
And so, as we talk about this, some of the things that maybe our new people need to hear is, don't wait for somebody to tell you that an opportunity is coming up. Make sure and go out and take a look. There's, as you mentioned, it may not be a degree, but it may be a class at, say, the National Fire Academy or through the National EMS Management Association. Somebody may put on something that's out there, and it's something that you yourself can get. You don't have to wait for a boss to say, like, hey, I've got some vacation time. I've got some money. I can travel to XYZ location and go to a class and, take that initial, that internal motivation and turn it. Don't listen to other people, because you may have some naysayers out there like, we've been good with what we got. We don't need anything else. But, let's take an opportunity to build and grow and to learn and develop.
That's what you say is perfect. That hits the nail on the head. And, take that, go to that one class, be around people that you're uncomfortable being around, that you've never met in your life, either at a state or national conference. Engage with them. This community is a family, and you should never be uneasy. I know it's just human nature. You're walking into a room of 200 and you don't know anyone else. That's human nature, but you'll find out in just a few minutes that everybody is open-armed and wanting to do the same thing. And the things you can learn, not just from the lecture or the person in front, but from the people at your table and the connections you made. Like, I didn't know you from Adam until TEMSEA.
Right.
And now, just someone I can text, shoot a question to, and just, or witty banter about, what's the next movie coming out. That wouldn't have been done if I hadn't have just got uncomfortable and went to a TEMSEA conference. And for everybody out here, you can go to their website and find the conference held every year, this basically same time in the last couple of weeks of July. In fact, I think next year is 22 through 24-ish. You can go to the TEMSEA website, TEMSEA.com, but also take a look. Your state or your local, you may have another different education association, maybe a regional location. You may have the National Association of EMS Physicians. You can
also go to some of the regional directors conferences. There's a ton out there. Take a look at an opportunity. John, we'd like to thank you for your service to the state of Tennessee, even if you did go to another university out there at some point in time. And for everything you've done coming on the show, we want to thank you. And for all of our listeners out there, don't forget our podcast partner, Journal of Emergency Medical Services. You can find them online at GEMS.com, see what they're doing for the industry. And don't forget to check out our podcast line. Shirts have been a big hit at the conference this year. You can go to thepursueco.com and find all of our EMS line from our originals, like Bradley has on today and yesterday. He's got the gray yesterday, gray today, red yesterday, and we've been wearing the Keep Back line all week. So make sure to check those out. Also, Platinum Education has been a partner as well. We've been giving out our challenge coins while we're here as well, and we want to thank those. So from my co-hosts, Eric McCullough and Bradley Dean, this is David. Take care, stay safe, and always remember the value of your EMS handoff.